Minus 185 decision prop for Dawson. For Rafa Garcia, his most valuable prop is a decision prop at plus 550 right here. This to me just seems like a gimme, right? Like no value to be placed on Grant Dawson. What do you do here? So my question for you is, as a Dawson bettor, what do you do here? Do you just leave it alone and say, all right, man, well, we'll pick it back up once we can get more value from a Dawson fight?
No, Derek, I think if you're looking for value in this one, we're either going to have to go to the over and unders, or you're going to have to parlay that Grant Dawson with a decision onto something else, right? That's the best odd. I do think that's the best way this fight's going to go, especially with the kind of fighter that Rafa is. I think we're going to see a lot of not necessarily stalemates, but a lot of trying to figure out what's happening in the fight for the two. So if you parlay that decision 185 with something else, even the one we were talking about before, I think that's where you can find your money on Grant Dawson.
Oh, so you mean you take a Grant Dawson money line and then you parlay that with the Rodriguez Morono over 2.5 rounds, like a prop lock? Or no, that was a parlay. I'm just kidding. But you might as well prop lock it because, yes, you are right. I thought the same thing, man. That's why that's the parlay, right? Because you're like, how else do I get value from a Grant Dawson fight with this line right here? But real quick, let's just take a look, man. Grant Dawson, Rafa Garcia, 2.5 rounds, minus 265 for the over. My Lord, not looking good for my submission prop lock right here. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Rafa Garcia is very skilled, right? Like, here's my thing. He's a good boxer, no sub losses in his career, jab and own the center of the cage. That's his style, right? But I see him more akin to fighting those guys, the Clay Guidas, right? The, let me see who else he got. The Jesse Ronson, Natan Levy's, right? Like those guys, Chris Grutzmacher. Like those guys, I'm like, hell yeah. Rafa Garcia, those are going to be fun, competitive fights, right? But then you get Grant Dawson. And Grant Dawson, the only problem is, man, can he get the fight to the ground? Let's just answer that one before we move on. Because we know for Grant Dawson, it's the same thing every single time, man. It's a single, transition to a double, get him down, wrap around the back, and then just hang out there for the rest of the round, right? Like we know what the game plan is, but it's real stiff. It's very stiff and mechanical before we get there. Can Rafa Garcia make him pay on the feet?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Derek, especially if Rafa's able to start off that jab. And then whenever Grant Dawson's trying to get on the inside, throws that chaos like I'm talking about, throw those bombs on the inside, he can hurt Grant Dawson for sure.
Are you throwing any hedge here on Garcia, or is this a runaway for Grant Dawson?
Ooh. Yeah, I'm throwing a hedge on Garcia, man. And I think if there's a way you're going to do it, you either do it by the money line or you go crazy and go with that TKO.
You hesitate.
I take back the TKO. I take back the TKO. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's crazy. Money line all day.
I was going to say, you hesitated. I don't believe you. We're betting on Grant Dawson, and we're calling it a lock right there, man. Hey, this should be a fun fight, though. Seriously, this will be a fun fight. No value really to be placed here unless you're going to bet for an over or parlay it. So, again, just take the parlay. Use the one that we had already gave you earlier. Go, rewind the episode to go catch that or, be creative. But either way, Grant Dawson, that's the play, right?